The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
I got the business in the front and party in the back. Whenever I pass by, I give women heart attacks. I don't gotta work out, I let the mullet flex. No stress, the follicle fountain's in full effect. Word to my boy Riff, word to my man Theo. My lady broke up with me cause she's sick of my damn ego. If you don't like my mullet, I don't want you anyway. Now she's all up in my DMs and texting me every day cause she misses it. Used to say I look ridiculous, but now she envisions it on other dudes when they're hitting it. She's got a broken heart and nothing to fix it with, and I got a sore scalp from other chicks that are gripping it. When I got my hair cut, the barber said sure, and she started buzzing with a wide smile. And when she got done and I was walking out the door, she said it's more than a hairdo, it's a lifestyle. My mullet, my mullet, it's my mullet. I really don't think you understand.
Welcome to the MMA Mullet Matinee. I'm your host, Marvelous Mac The Mullet. My co-host, David Potter, Connor Mckenna, and the very reason we're here tonight, the legend himself, UFC, Bellator veteran, also the Extreme Couture longtime coach, and one of my favorite people that I've ever had the opportunity to share in competition with, the man himself, Justin Jaynes. Welcome. How are you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hey, man, doing fantastic out here in Las Vegas, enjoying this 50-degree weather up in my Halloween singlet, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's some boss shit right there, my man.
That's some pretty boss shit, I have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Killer singlet.
So what you been up to, Justin?
Dude, honestly, man, I had neck surgery in January. Last year was kind of a layoff year for me. I didn't get to compete very much. I had a collapsed disc of my vertebrae. I went through like 6 months of physical therapy, did some injections. Finally, the doctor said I just had to suck it up and get the surgery. Got the surgery done in January. And I've honestly just been recovering. So just got back to training about 2 weeks ago.
Nice. How you feeling?
Oh man, I feel like $1 million, dude. It was an instant relief off the neck. Everything started firing back again, but being in civilian shape, being in fighting shape are two different things. So I'm slowly taking my time getting back into it.
So
those first.
Go ahead, excuse me.
Here,
Those. Yeah, it's my kid. He needs to shut up. Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's out there screaming outside the door like I don't pay attention to him.
Well, what's the coaching life been like? Any up and comers we haven't heard of that might be making a little noise soon?
Oh man, we have so many up and comers coming in right now at Extreme Couture. One particular off the top of my head, Kobe Farr. He's been training at the gym. He's an incredible wrestler. I believe he's from Indiana, actually.
How do you spell his last name?
Fehr, I believe is Colby.
He might be from around here. I'm not sure. I should know. If it doesn't, I need to be arrested. But
yeah, I think for sure you. But anyways, yeah, he's working with Jake Shields right now. He's an up and coming guy. He's undefeated right now. He's an incredible 135er. I think he'll be in the UFC by the end of the year. We got Ryder Newman coming up 170. He was on the Ultimate Fighter last year, 170 pounder, an incredible fighter.
Wyoming.
I'm sorry, say again.
Wyoming wrestler.
Yeah. Wyoming wrestler, super tough dude. A great guy, great training partner. I trained with him this morning. Although he's a pro, he's already been to the big show, being on the Ultimate Fighter. I still think he has a lot left in his gas tank, and I think he's going to make a run towards the end of this year. For amateur wise, let me think. We have Biagio And in case you don't know Biagio, he's signed as an amateur with the with the PFL, formerly the World Series of Fighting. It's Muhammad Ali's grandson. He's an incredible athlete. He was a football player in college. Coming through, I got a guy that I just started training this year. His name's Daniel Molina. A lot of potential coming in. I mean, we got guys coming in and out the gym every day. We have an unlimited pool of talent that we're working with. Always trying to get these guys to the next level.
Actually, Ryder Newman, I believe he was on the season with the homie Hector Urbina's brother, Gilbert Urbina, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, I think you're right. Man, I've heard that name in a hot minute.
El Toro, he's doing Gilbert. He's killing. He's supposed to be making his UFC debut also soon.
Absolutely.
So you also talked about Muhammad Ali's grandson. You said
yes.
I've seen him. He looks like a young Cassius. It's scary how spookily he looks like look just like Muhammad.
Dude, he has the looks, he has the skill, he has the athleticism. He's an incredible fighter. He's working on his wrestling. He's working on his grappling. He's an amateur right now. He's signed with the PFL. I'm not really sure. I think he's doing amateur fights with the PFL. I've been fortunate to commentate a couple of his fights. The sky's the limit for that kid as well.
Long reach, I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
So I got a question for you. You're awesome hunter, awesome fighter. What's Justin Jaynes' game like on the sticks and in the gaming world? What's some of your favorite games you've been playing lately?
Oh man, I was addicted to Call of Duty Warzone for a hot minute. I'm trying to ease off it right now because I was playing it too often. But typically I'll be on Warzone. I love Madden. That Madden 23 is pretty fire. And, I went back to an old classic, my favorite video game of all time, Resident Evil 2. They remade it back.
Ooh, hell yeah.
It's the greatest video game ever made. The storyline is perfect. The graphics are fire. It doesn't get any better than Resident Evil 2. And another throwback that I went to recently, you probably haven't heard this name in a long time, but it's called Age of Empires 2. It's a strategy game. And it just came out on Xbox, the same version from the 90s. I've been playing it for hours a day.
I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch because they came out with N64 and Game Boy Advance, and they have all the classics. The first game I ever played in my entire life, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Hell yeah, dude. I played at the arcade.
Hell yeah.
All the way through, I can play that fucking game and pick it up, and yeah. Still a classic to this day. It ages very well, just saying.
Dude, I'm telling you, the classic of Resident Evil 2 being remade, just a couple of years ago, they remade Resident Evil 3, which I thought was good. But Resident Evil 2, I really feel it went above and beyond. The game was perfect before the remake, and they held up. I had a really, really high standard. I thought they're going to drop the ball with this, but they didn't. Capcom did an incredible job of remaking it. I also hear they're in cahoots of making Resident Evil 4 coming up and Dino Crisis as well.
I like the fact that a lot of these, everyone is banking on nostalgia. So, like, a lot of these, like, companies are like, okay, screw it. We're out of ideas. Let's just remake all the classics you know and love, like Ghouls and Goblins, a classic from Capcom. We actually released a Street Fighter anthology, every single Street Fighter in arcade, like Alpha 1, 2, and 3. And they're coming out with fire games. And also I'm a big role-playing guy. So, like, Final Fantasy VII they re-released on Nintendo Switch, and, like, so many classics they're bringing. I just think that games were just better back in the day. So they're just creative bankruptcy is paying off for us guys that grew up with, like, the good games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's just that, I mean, you can only have so many ideas as a base of a game. You look at, like, Grand Theft Auto, you look at Red Dead Redemption. Those are incredible games, but they're essentially the same game, just 300 years apart. You look at, all these horror games, which there hasn't been a really good scary horror game in a long time. But again, they're just following over the Resident. Even the Resident Evil kind of got away from the Resident Evil. Resident Evil Village came out recently or last year, and that was really fire. But if I had to say I'm looking forward to anything, I'd really like to see a remake of GoldenEye on Xbox Series X.
Odd Job, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah.
Hey, we have to paper, rock, scissors because Odd Job is harder to hit, faster. Yeah, I get it.
I need that golden gun. That golden gun is what's
Golden
up.
Gun fire, dude.
One shot dead.
If I may make a suggestion to the champ, and obviously you don't need any suggestions whatsoever, being Justin, being you, but if I can make a suggestion, sir,
Please.
Nintendo Switch, okay? They came out with GoldenEye, Nintendo 64. They re-released it. smoke a lot of weed, and play all mind, just mind levels, where it's like an anxiety attack because you don't know what you're going into. You're like, oh my god, I hope it's not covered in mines. Bam! Like it's crazy, man.
So funny that you say this because I actually bought a Nintendo Switch just for the remake. Although I didn't get stoned to play, and by the way, I do love playing video games while I'm stoned, but I didn't play this one stoned. And you know what? I was very underwhelmed by it. I just, it wasn't the original, and it wasn't the game itself. It was more of the controller play. I just didn't really like. I didn't really like the paddles on the Wii for GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Fair
enough.
Yeah, one day, Nintendo Switch, we had my mom. I didn't do my chores. Tried to play Nintendo. She beat me with a Switch. Last thing I say, so I'll drop a little knowledge on y'all guys.
Yes, sir.
My cousin had actually the Japanese version of Street Fighter 2, and it took the longest time. I always thought his game was messed up because on his copy he had Balrog, as we know him, aka the Boxers.
Yeah,
was really M Bison, and M Bison was really Balrog because was getting sued for likeness because M Bison, as we know him as Balrog, looks just like Mike Tyson. So, switched to Vega was something else, but I ended up whooping everybody's ass in that, and that's what made me want to become a real fighter.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Mike Tyson and video game characters, I always saw Mike Tyson as Jax in Mortal Kombat. Like I always feel like Jax was the Mike Tyson of that game with the steel arms.
I can see that.
Original Fight Night, Knockout. They had a code where you could put in certain attributes and it'd be a clone of Tyson because they had respect to him. Oh yeah, you know me, I was in my pile up trying to find the damn cheat codes. Every time I push a letter, an hourglass pop up. I'm like, by tomorrow, you're a dead man.
Oh, he just left. Oh, the Tyson code, Ryan for the win.
Yes.
Hey, let's go, Ryan. Send that code up, baby.
That's what's up.
He knows more about boxing, all of us combined, and more. That's saying a lot.
They actually came out. Speaking of Fight Night, they actually came out with a new game called Undisputed on
yes.
Live. It has all the boxers in it. Tyson Fury. They have Deontay Wilder, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. Yep. Really good game. It's not getting enough publicity as it deserves, but fire fucking game. They just.
I believe it's only out on PlayStation. No.
I believe PlayStation and Steam.
Yeah, I think it's only out for like test release. But
I saw some of it. I saw some streaming on Twitch. I like, oh man, this game looks fire, and I looked it up to download it, and I wasn't able to. So I thought
same here.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
really good.
Graphics look dope.
Yeah, I like where it's heading.
Switching gears. While we're on the subject, in your guys' opinion, who do you think's the best boxer pound for pound on the planet right now? Mine is, I don't know if you guys have heard of his name, is Naoya Inoue, the monster. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but if there was a perfect fighter made, Mike Tyson, he's 120 pounds and he knocks people dead with one punch, but he has the most perfect technique. I'll put you guys on game. Who's yours, Justin? Somebody might not be aware of.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big boxing fan, and I'll tell you there was a fight that killed it for me. When Manny Pacquiao fought over in Australia, and he outstruck his opponent 3-1 and still lost the decision. That was the last box. I said, "Fuck this! I'm not a boxing fan. This is crooked as fuck." If I had to say I had a favorite, I'd say probably Tyson Fury because he. I don't know if I can be vulgar on here, but he openly says that. Hey, he has a good chin because he eats a lot of pussy, and I respect that.
Mikey, baby.
Yeah,
he's a real life Mikey. He's Brad Pitt.
I mean, it's science. If Tyson Fury says it, he got hit by the hardest puncher in the world right in the face, dropped dead, bink. They said, "Hey, why is your chin so strong?" He said, "I eat a lot of pussy," so I respect him.
Fair enough.
Guy also masturbates like 8 times a day, so he's going.
Man, what do you expect?
Yeah, he's going hard all the time, hard in the ring, hard outside. So
I heard he has night crawlers. He's baiting hooks on worms left and right, kids. That's what he does.
You know what? I really don't. Well, Connor, you can go before me.
I was also going to say Tyson Fury for like right now's boxing. Anybody who for me, it was the whole. He was mentally unstable for a few years, and then coming out of that, that hole to become something, as a heavyweight champion, an undisputed heavyweight champion like he is. That's amazing to me. I think that shit, the mental health thing, I battle with it myself. So, Yeah, I totally understand that shit. So I look at him as like, fuck, man. If he can do that shit, I can do that shit, you know?
He's the
Dude,
most modest
100%, man. He talks about his drug addiction. I mean, he was like 350 pounds, sloppy
Yeah.
fat, lost all that weight, came back, fights Deontay Wilder, has 2 or 3 incredible fights with him. And yeah, Tyson Fury won my heart. And again, his backstory is incredible and would be inspiring to anybody.
Hell yeah.
I kind of like Bojo. I can't pronounce his name. Bojo Jack. He just fought
Badu Jack.
Badu Jack, yeah.
Badu Jack. Yes, Badu Jack, who just won his second world championship on the co-main event of Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Even though in a normal circumstance on any given generation, that is the fight that main events, and Jake Paul and Tommy Fury is on an undercard on an HBO boxing or ESPN Thursday night fight. But now we're in this generation where it's all celebrities and it's all about like boxing's not producing stars anymore. So boxing's not making stars anymore. So stars are making boxing again. Like it's just like kind of like that like switcheroo where everyone's just stepping into like all these YouTube stars and celebrities are stepping into boxing and make it exciting. And you know what? The end justified the means. As long as people are watching this incredible talent all the way leading up to a main event, which is, again, 2 rookies fighting each other, I'm glad for it because people got like exposed to Bojo Jack, casual boxing fan. And I like Bojo Jack. I keep mispronouncing his name. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's something special.
Yeah, I like BoJack Horseman too.
Yeah.
So, Justin,
Yes, sir.
let's speak a little. Let's get back to this is a good story. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Justin, he's a Michigan. He's a monster from Michigan. He's also James Lee, a disciple. Match fight team. We both come up under the same homie, like good tutelage. But Justin, it's a sore subject. But his state championship match. You guys guess who his opponent was in the finals of Michigan?
It was the semifinals, but I know what you're
getting. Was it semifinals? Yeah, it was true second, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Jakar Close, standout. I'm surprised whenever you wrestled him, his neck didn't get hurt from when he got pushed. That was the craziest freak accident I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, from when he got pushed, man. It's funny because Jakar and I run into each other all the time. I was in Arizona 2 weekends ago. He was there. Like I always tease him. I always want to get a crack back at him. And to lose, I was 57-0. He was 55-0. We happened to just be on the same side of the bracket, unfortunately. And it is what it is, man. Jakar's a really tough dude. He's a really tough fighter. I wish him nothing but the best. I know he's a great dad. But yeah, man, I always wanted to get that one back. And I tell you what, he's an athletic freak. And again, he's an incredible fighter. I feel like I would be an underdog in an MMA fight against him because he's so much bigger than I am. I'm going down to 140, or I've been down at 145. He's a big 55er. I'm a relatively average side 145er, but I'd like to punch him in the face at least once for taking away my high school dream.
And what's wild, when I very first met you, I look back at with your highlight tape and stuff, when we met and took a fight with each other on 5 minutes notice back when it was Wild West, soccer kicks, knees to the head, stomps. And what's funny is some of my boys are watching, and they was actually live for that fight. They say it's one of the better fights I'd ever seen in person. And they was like, and how do you guys take that punishment? I said, and they kept always talking about how they thought we were cousins. Like we was almost like mirrored image each other. I said, yeah, he had a little more better hair than I did back in.
Back in the day, I don't know more though.
Wait,
it was awesome.
You guys fought each other?
Yes, we fought each other.
It was an incredible experience. I went down to Indiana. I think I was 18 years old, and they matched us up. And you know what? Like, I had to weather a storm, dude. Johnny put it to me. He had me in fucking every submission you could think of. And I remember being in a triangle choke at one point. I don't remember how the fight ended.
I do.
I mean, I know the result, but I can't remember exactly. I remember kneeing you in the head when we were on the ground. I was in side position.
Which time?
In the head. And say that again.
Which time?
Yeah.
You give me
that's one I would love to show the grandkids, man. And it's not just because I won, just because of how brutal this sport used to be compared to it is now. Like, I remember being in side position trying to, push your face to face me so I can knee you in your face while we're on the ground. I remember being in a triangle choke. I remember being on the verge of tapping out, and I don't remember how I snaked out of it or if you loosened up or whatever it was. I remember being in trouble a bunch in that fight.
And what's crazy is that fight was one of the longest. I had 38 out of my 38 wins. All 38 were finishes, and that fight went the longest into the third period. It was literally the last 30 seconds, and he caught me in a north-south choke, swept me. And
you know what? Yes, yeah, I do. Yes, I vaguely remember that. Yes.
My damn sense of direction is terrible until that choke got on. Then all of a sudden, I turned into Christopher Columbus's nephew. But no, that's my losing brother Johnny, not me. I'm undefeated. I'm 1,000,000.
Hell yeah.
What year was this where you guys fought each other?
2007.
2007.
8 years ago. 50. Your boy wasn't even born yet.
My son wasn't even born yet. Yep. Actually, his mom was the ring girl of our fight.
Holy shit.
And when I showed up to the event, you was standing outside. I said, yep, the only guy with a heartbeat is going to be my opponent. No, I'd actually lost. I had a miscarriage. I actually lost a baby that week. I wasn't even going to fight. And
you know what? I think I remember Chaz telling me something about that. Honestly, I think after the fight, I remember him saying something about that.
Yeah, and you told me he was going to send me to meet him, but I luckily pulled through. I'm just kidding. Too soon.
That's cold. That's cold-blooded, bro.
That's pretty cold.
But what's wonderful is we ended up. I remember watching after that. He fought DeQuan Townsend, UFC veteran, twice. Just like back in those days, we would show it to a fight and our opponents didn't show. We would literally bump up weight classes. Out of my 80% of my losses, out of my 6 losses, I'd say at least 4 of them was me taking on the short notice fights, going up weight classes, not caring because the Bills don't care if your opponent don't show up. You got to pay him. Justin had over 40-some amateur, almost 50 amateur fights.
47, yeah, 47 amateur fights and 25 pro fights.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's so fucking cool, though. And to say, Johnny, even though, Mac the Mullet, to say that you fought
tell me that loser
of Justin caliber, and say, okay, I fought that guy. We went to war, and he's on TV now. I mean,
homie's even cooler though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Johnny's a homie of mine, man. We've kept in touch over the years, man, and he's actually sent me a lot. I've asked him questions about what he thinks of opponents and who he thinks I'd match up against. We've stayed in touch since we fought in 2007.
That's why I say you play every sport with one ball, but combat sports takes 2. I mean, you still fucking fought, and you Justin, you took it all the way to the UFC and did big things with your career, and still are doing big things. And Johnny, you get to see one of your opponents that you had this classic with accomplishing these awesome things, and you guys are still friends. I mean, that's fucking awesome. That's really
the wild thing is Justin took that fight against Frank Crank Camacho on. Was it 2 days notice?
Yeah, 2-day notice. I was on my way Wednesday night. I was out to dinner. I was going to dinner to get some Thai food. My manager calls. He's like, "Hey, you want to fight this weekend?" I said, "If it's for the UFC." He says, "It's for the UFC." I said, "Okay." And that was the end of it. I had all my doctors on Thursday, made weight Friday morning at 8 a.m., knocked Frank out the next day.
We literally talked about the thing, and I'd watch some of his tape, he was talking, and we'd bounce ideas off each other, and he was talking about opponents, and we seen some tendencies that he had, and he exploited them. It was I don't want to be vain or anything, but if we put up our conversation, you predict these things. That lead left hook, I found a way home. I'm telling you that. It was there.
Dude, Mac has incredible insight. He has incredible fight eye, and he could help anybody out at any level getting ready for a fight. And there's no doubt in my mind.
I appreciate that, Justin. You're a savage yourself. So if you don't mind me asking, what do you? In my opinion, I like coaching wrestling, kids in wrestling more than I like anything else in the world, probably. How's coaching? How much have you learned from coaching as you've taught people?
It's funny because coaching kids is one of the hardest things I've ever done. I've been doing it since 2011. I coach adults obviously as well. But I finally last year after, running these kids programs, one of my students, my first student, his name is Zion Trejo. He started training. He was 7 years old. He wins his first state championship this year. And I'm not going to say it was because of me, because obviously he's the one doing it. But I feel very grateful that I could be a part of the process. And I got to be there for him when he won a state championship. Another girl that I trained since she was 9 years old won a state championship 2 weekends or the week before him this year. Her older brother won last year. So right now I have 3 or 4 state championships from kids that I've coached since they were from the ground up, from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. and them winning a state championship, them achieving all their dreams in that 6-minute match there's nothing that compares to it. That's like me getting to the UFC and knocking out Frank Camacho. That's what that feels like to me.
And it's why I think me and you actually share a bond that we do, even though we don't get to see each other much, because like I have a freshman that he was actually on the show, Tylen Thrine. He actually ended up winning a state title as a freshman, going 42-0, knocking off a nationally ranked guy.
Wow.
He's the first person that I've ever seen went from ranked 15th in Indiana at the beginning of the season to 15th in the country by the end of the year. Then his big brother plays for the first ever Newcastle guys, the brothers, to make it to the semifinals of Indiana, which is a single class tournament. And then we had Gavin Whitehead. We had 3 guys place at the state finals for the first time in 15 years. Since my cousin, we had a first state champion in Newcastle in 28 years, and Newcastle placed 5th as a team at the state tournament. And it was pretty sick, and I'm elated.
Fantastic.
And absolutely. I got an announcement, boys. I made a deal with my guys that if they wrestle and got me ready for Freestyle State in May, I'm gonna make my return Midwest Nationals. I'm down to about 190, a big far cry from 214 at heavyweight. Midwest.
Hell yeah, baby, let's go, flex it up.
Hell yeah.
Did you ever see yourself wrestling again in a match, Justin?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Say again.
Could you see yourself wrestling a match, especially if it was only 2-2s like Masters Division? What I'm gonna be in?
Shit, I wrestled. Right before I had neck surgery. I did a wrestling tournament out here, and it was an open, and I ended up taking second. Man, I lost to a really good college wrestler in the last couple seconds. Getting taken down. So it happens, man. You know, when you're I haven't wrestled. I mean, prior to that, in coaching, I haven't, and besides MMA wrestling, I haven't been folk style wrestling, since I was 21 years old, so 12 years ago. It was great to be on the mat. I got a couple feelings of, victory, and that one little small taste of defeat never feels good, but it felt good to be back on the mat. That's
awesome.
And while we're on the subject of wrestling, which holds a dear place in both of our hearts, I'm starting to see how folk style is having a real big impact on the actual riding aspect of wrestling and having the back as opposed to international style where it's more ankle laces and guts, which is awesome, but riding a guy. For instance, we watched John Jones. He was in a partay ride where he trapped the ankle, just a traditional folk style ride. Do you what are some how have you seen MMA improve as far as evolve since you've been at Extreme Couture? And how's it changed the most that you've noticed in the last 13 years since you've been coaching?
The sport is evolving constantly, and the biggest change, the biggest evolution that I'm seeing is it's not art versus art. It's not Lyoto Machida karate style versus Randy Couture wrestling style, or it's these kids that are coming up now are training MMA. They're training and they're mixing it together at a young age. To where me and you, or at least me, I started off in wrestling, then I went to boxing, and then I went to kickboxing, and then I went to MMA. I learned all the individual arts. Where right now, kids are stepping in, they're throwing jab cross, jab cross shot, jab cross single, double A, and they're improving all the time because again, they're not breaking it down individually. They're keeping it MMA as a sport, and they're learning MMA as a sport, not MMA as MMA wrestling or MMA boxing or MMA kickboxing. If that makes sense.
They're blending the skills as they go. They're not having to unlearn things. For instance, whenever you're straight wrestling, giving up your back is different as opposed to learning MMA wrestling is 2 different things. Not being afraid to go to your back, or there's a lot of things you have to unlearn, which I make a big deal with a lot of guys. I have 5 guys fighting in a kickboxing event this weekend, but I teach all my guys. Everything I teach them correlates across any style. For instance, like everything I teach them, they can their stance is out of. They can kickbox in that stance, fight, etc. And you're exactly right. Where kids are learning to blend as they go. Like the John Jones. One day, it's crazy to think, but he'll be an average said athlete.
Sure.
I want to ask you guys this: what do you guys think about the UFC having a lower weight limit than a high school wrestling heavyweight limit? And I'll go after you guys answer that question. I got something to lead to.
Me, honestly, because I'm a heavyweight, so I feel like we tend to miss out on certain athletes because there are bigger athletes out there that can fucking move, and they can move like a light heavyweight, and they're almost super heavyweight, heavy. So it's like these guys, we could watch 2 dudes who are just 2 fucking monsters in there, have a great fight, but we're missing out on that because of the weight limit.
and the money's too. I believe the money plays a big part. I don't think we'll ever get those NFL caliber. No offense, but to think that there's a genetic freak in the Jones family, but like not Arthur, but Chandler. What's going to happen one day whenever if the money could ever make it right? The weight and the money is what I think is holding MMA back as far as getting those like next level athletes. Because let's face it, nobody's wanting to go make 10-10 whenever they can get $10 million signing bonus if they can make it to the NFL.
I feel like you just listened to my last podcast I just posted.
Pinky swear I didn't.
Did you really?
I swear on everything I love, I didn't. No, that's what
I just had this exact conversation yesterday on a
creepy.
podcast. Shout out to Jesse on Fire. Shout out to my own podcast, 10-7 MMA. But yeah, we're talking about the depth of the heavyweight division and why I think the heavyweight division is so much weaker than the rest. And it's because if you're a heavyweight and you're a superstar athlete, why would you want to make 10,000? Like, look at Greg Hardy. Like, we're talking about if he didn't have those personal issues, he'd still be in the NFL. But he transitions with basically no MMA experience, just pure athleticism, gets to the UFC, gets a couple wins. Obviously, his career was short-lived. But would you want to get punched in the face for $10,000, or would you rather be a third-string kicker that's making $500,000 annually?
Yeah.
I mean, the minimum in the NFL, just to get to the NFL and ride pine, is $500,000. Like,
your practice squad guys are making six figures.
It's insane. So like all these heavyweights that are, and like I said, it's crazy because I just had this conversation yesterday. All these heavyweights that, you take what's his name? Greg Hardy at 18 years old, you get him out of football and he trains boxing and wrestling for the next 10 years. You have a world champion.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my point where you say that you were talking about that. The heavyweight talent pool is already, no offense, diluted because finding an athlete, a big man that can move, are few and far between. That's why at the heavyweight level, that a guy has just a little bit of talent almost like shines bright quicker because it's such a shallow pool of talent at heavyweight that, like, for instance, John Jones can move up and he already looks like one of the best heavyweights we've ever seen. It's nothing against those guys, but I'd like to see how the sport evolves if one day if guys can end up making, like, not having to have two jobs and rob their sister and uncle just to get to a fight camp.
Yeah. I want to answer Brian's question here at the bottom. He says he has a question: how much is being a pure athlete? It's not that it can make it appear, but you're talking from an athletic standpoint. I mean, to me, the NFL has the most athletic people in the world. They're the fastest, they're the biggest, they're the strongest, they can jump the furthest, they're the most explosive. So when you take all that athleticism and then focus it in on a craft like boxing, wrestling, MMA, it's just like in their craft in football. They're sharpening their eyes, or they're sharpening their body for their position of play. Now, if you take and they become incredible at it, world class at it. Now you take that same athleticism, size, strength, and speed kills, and you transition it to an MMA standpoint. You got your hands full.
That's a dangerous person right there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it depends also. A lot of people always ask me, like, how can I fight somebody and not be mad at them? They don't understand the concept of competition and actually when it gets personal. Well, I can say right now, like, this is no knock on the heavyweight division, but Gable Stevenson right now can walk in the UFC. If he wanted to, he can probably beat anybody up to probably John Jones just off his wrestling alone, taking them down and big brothering them. He could literally put them in a behind their back move like he's arresting them, sub them. Like, there's nothing that those guys can't do. And then you start talking about those kind of athletes that are in the NFL, like, for instance, Chandler Jones. The man has a 7'7" wingspan, and that's crazy. He's number 9 in all-time sacks, and he done it in so much faster games. John Jones' other brother, Arthur Jones, 2-time state champion in wrestling. He's a world champion. The Jones family are the thoroughbreds. They could, you know what I mean? They could sell their DNA for millions a dose.
That's fact.
But do you guys remember that season where it was Ultimate Fighter 2009 where they had – it was the same season as Kimbo Slice, but they had a lineup, a plethora of heavyweight NFL
baby
like that. The guy who won it all. I mean, like –
True. That athlete doesn't –
Yeah, some of those guys were really unimpressive.
Well, you understand, like, although they're athleticism and they're big and strong, how long have they been boxing? Have they been doing it their whole life? Have they dedicated their life to the sport? They've probably dedicated their life to football because that's why they're so good at football. Now, you take that athlete and you dedicate his life to MMA, you dedicate his life to boxing, wrestling, it's going to be different. It's like now those guys that they picked up, the NFL players that they picked up, are athletic enough to survive in those conditions. But again, their technique is just a step behind because they've only been working on their craft for a year or two. You work on their craft for 15, 20 years like I have, and give me that size and athleticism and speed, I'm going to be a bigger problem than I already am.
Fair point.
And I think we learned also with Aaron Pico how he was a blue chipper. Like he was brought along way too fast. He was a victim of his own success where he was 17. They said he was knocking out Josh Thompson. Well, where he was already so gifted that they brought him. I don't care who you are. You can't rush the process. Like Bo Nickel, the only thing you can do to him is bring him along too quick because you can. There's always tough fights out there. You can't restart your career over. You get somebody beat too early and hurt them. You get knocked out can really it'll do a number on you. It does something to your psyche.
Hey, Mac, are you sure you didn't listen to my podcast yesterday?
I swear. I pinky swear.
The guy that's hosting the show is to ask me, like, what do you think of him and Kamzat? I'm like, he needs to slow his roll. He doesn't need to fight Kamzat. He needs to fight some more lower-level guys, get some experience. It's only 4-0. And with Pickett, with the growing shot, like that's a controversial win to some people. To me, it's not. I think it would have went the same. But some people aren't happy about it. But he's like, oh, I want to fight Kamzat. I was like, bro, you're 4-0. Like, you're barely wet behind the ears. Like let's get some more experience. Let's get 5, 6, 8 fights, maybe 10 fights, and then take on a top guy. It's just funny that's 2 back-to-back, dude. Because they're hot topics, and you're absolutely right. I agree with you 100%.
And even
O'Malley did it perfect.
Even though he won, he was applying that choke wrong.
Yes, he was
for half the choke. You know what I'm saying? So it's like his pure strength and wrestling got him through that choke. So it's just it wasn't a technical choke, but it was something that he did that got him the win.
And
I will mention about the choke too is it's hard for me to see where his hand placement is because of the camera angle. I looked at a couple different ones, but regardless if the choke was in or not in, Cyril Gane did nothing to defend it. He didn't fight the hands. If you watch, his left hand stays around John Jones' back, and that's what I'm disgusted about. I'm not disgusted about Gane losing or Jones winning. Everyone thinks I'm a Jones hater. I'm not a Jones hater. I don't like the guy, but I don't not like the guy. I'm neutral about him. I don't really care about him. So when I say these things, it doesn't come from anger. But I was very disappointed in the fight, mostly with Gane because he didn't even try for level 1 defense and try and fight the hands. He didn't try and move. He just sat there and wait for the choke to just sink in and finish.
I was there live.
It's like he gave up.
Yeah.
And I was there live. And before that, the Apex Center, because I was covering first the Apex in January, and then I was also covering. I just got back from Vegas. I was there this weekend. But I asked Cyril Gane, I'm like, Mr. Gane, what problems are you going to present to John Jones that Ngannou was not going to present? And I saw a brief hesitation. I've been saying it over and over again. I'm like, I don't think he's so sure about that. Like, I think he thought in his mind, I think he already was defeated. I think when he got into that cage, he was already starstruck. He already saw John Bones Jones, the greatest of all time. All the hype was circled around John Bones Jones. And I really think Cyril Gane thought of himself as a replacement. And, I really think he was beat before he got in the cage. And, not fighting the hands, not defending, anything like that. When John got him down, and that's why everyone's saying it's rigged. No, it's not fucking rigged. I think Cyril Gane just gave up. He realized, holy shit, I'm in there with John Bones Jones. This is my primary concern in the first place. Cyril Gane being there, of him in his mind thinking, oh my God, all I am is just a replacement. I lost to Ngannou. Ngannou's not here. That's the only reason why I'm here. And you're the best in the world in my eyes if you get to the UFC. Justin, you're one of the best athletes in the world.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. So Cyril Gane's not taken away from him, but I just think he got starstruck, deer in headlights. It's same thing with Mike Tyson. When people used to get in the ring with him, I think he was already defeated when he got in there. Thinking, okay, I'm fighting the GOAT right now. So
I've got a theory myself also, real quick. I'll drop on you. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but he talks about how he doesn't even train like year round, that he only does it like seasonally. He only goes into a camp whenever he has like a fight. He doesn't train like, and that goes back to our point about the heavyweight division. It's so shallow that you can have a guy make it to the top of the division doing that. And that goes to show right there, like that what you're talking about is lack of dog. Like the thing is he's good at being the hammer, but whenever he's the nail, like John, like Francis took him down. He took him down quicker than Paradise City with the grass is green when the girls are pretty. So he that's an athlete that's learned how to fight, but you can't emulate mimic the dog in you. You know what I'm saying? Either you have it or you don't.
Can't fake that.
Everybody looks good when they're laying stuff from out the side, but what happens whenever you're the nail? Are you gonna fold? And that's why Surreal Gong. There's a new Gong Girl, Surreal Gong Girl 2 coming out.
Never heard that, but that's funny. So
I made it up, baby.
Oh yeah,
hey, it's off the top. Oh yeah, Justin, how's it feel to have been wrestling with greatness all day? You being greatness, obviously.
I play a lot, dude. It's a rough life, man. I wake up early, I train, and then I play video games for 5 or 6 hours, and I go train again, man. It's rough.
Fucking right.
Is there anything else? I know we don't want to have to cut it short, but Mr. Jaynes is a busy man, and he's got more champions to help mold. Any last questions any of you guys would like to get off your chest?
Yeah, any questions you guys want? Let's go, man. 50 MMA fights from Michigan into Las Vegas, fought all over the world. Shoot them. Let's go.
What fight do you see as being the perfect fight for you? Obviously, everyone sees that perfect fight and envisions it. Like when they go to bed and they sleep at night saying, that's the perfect opponent for me. We'll make fucking magic. And obviously, you and Mac made some magic. So, like, what would be the perfect fight for you, or who would you want to fight? This just not out of animosity because you're a professional, but like you say, styles make fight, and stylistically, just like me fighting Johnny, that's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be a sellout. That's going to be a classic. Who would you want? Who do you envision fighting in your future?
Without even thinking about it, the answer is very, very simple. It's Clay Guida.
Whoa, yeah.
My goal, honestly, in a perfect world, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's get back to the UFC and fight Clay for his retirement fight. I had a dream about it last year. It would be a dream come true, man. Clay Guida is one of the reasons I started fighting to begin with. And that was 10, 15 years ago. And to see him still fighting at the top level, still getting wins. It's not like he's going out there and getting starched. I would love to step in the ring with Clay Guida. We had our after party after my last UFC fight. I fought on two. Me and Clay fought on the same. When I fought Frank Camacho, he was on that card, and he was on my last card, and that I fought Charles Rosa. And we had our after parties together. He's a great guy. He knows that I want to fight him so bad, and it's not an animosity. I love the guy. He's fucking super cool. I love where he came from. I love his backstory. But man, the utmost respect I could give the guys to punch him in the face.
We need to manufacture some fight news with the Carpenter. See what I'm saying? Get you in the union.
And again, just like you guys said, it's not animosity, it's respect, man. I respect the guy to be around this sport that long. I think it would just be an incredible moment to see the Carpenter and see the hair in his face and just see him going crazy. And he's just a crazy guy. And the thing I respect about him a lot is it's not a character. Like Colby Covington is a character. He's not like that, how he is on camera in real life. Clay is the exact same on camera, off camera, at the bar, in the ring. He's just a hype dude. He loves fishing. He loves hunting. I'd love to fight him for his retirement fight, or even if he continues to fight after. And then, the loser has to take the winner on a big hunting trip or a big fishing trip of some sort. That's
a good pitch right there.
That would be my dream.
Hell yeah.
I almost want to get back in the game just so I could take a dive just to give somebody a trip. I want to go so bad.
Hell yeah.
And before we go, Guida, and like you're saying, I think that'd be an awesome fight because, first off, there'd be more damn scrambles in a damn omelet restaurant. Could you imagine? But I will say this: if I had to make a prediction, I don't see Clay. I don't see him out wrestling you. You got more power. The only thing is I think if he can blind you with that beautiful hair, that's one thing that's foreign to you anymore is them beautiful, luscious locks. And these Indiana neck bandana on these luscious Louisiana love locks, I think you can still handle yourself. I've seen you.
But go back to the serial Gone method, like you guys were saying about how he was starstruck. Dude, I'd be starstruck. I can't even imagine. If I was able to book that fight, like I'd have to go into some serious visualization, like fucking in the dark, close my eyes and visualizing seeing him across from me in a cage and to try to prepare. And that's kind of how I did with Frank Camacho. I'm big on visualization. I'm big on seeing it before it happens. But that would be, I would have to get a sports psych, and we'd really have to get that ingrained in my brain to be ready for that.
Yeah, man.
I'd offer help free. I'd do it for free. Little
That's
Marvelous
my guy right
Max,
there.
I'd have you. By the time we got in there, you'd be hitting so hard, you'd be in the Geico commercials, baby.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, maybe it's Maybelline.
It's been
Maybe he's
awesome,
born
guys.
with it.
It's been a damn good time. I want to give my baby brother rest in peace. It was his birthday this week. My brother
Rest in
Joshua,
peace.
he's in the hospital, so sending prayers out to him. Anybody you guys want to say thank you to any of your sponsors? Give shout outs. Justin,
Hey,
go first.
shout out to Self Equipment, shout out to Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Fight, Roku, YouTube TV, Mac The Mullet for having me on the show, guys. Big shout out to everybody, man. This has been a blast, and thanks for having me.
Honored. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
I'll close it out and give a shout out to some of my sponsors, Juan Hernandez and the Unfamiliar Riders Club, Class Concrete, Stacks, Cafe Neo, Shaggy and my boys out at the Gray Auto, the Criswell family, Cousin Tina, Up Church family. Thank you so much. And all my people out there in Newcastle Wrestling, we're back, baby. Love all my guys. This weekend, we're going to represent. Go get the big dub.
Let's go.
So my co-host,
yeah.
David, Connor Mckenna, the man himself, Justin Jaynes. I'm Marvelous Mac Mullet, and you've tuned into the MMA Mullet Matinee, only on Amazon Prime, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Having a hard time going back to the gym after working out at home? Well, now you don't have to with the X-Bar. The X-Bar from X-Bar Fitness is an incredible gym alternative that gives you the same intense workout you get at a full gym with hundreds of machines. One X-Bar alone provides the same workout as a cable machine, bench press, dumbbell set, free weights, leg press, barbell set, and all these other machines. Stop wasting time debating whether or not you should go to the gym. Order the X-Bar to get a quality workout in the comfort of your own home.